Okay, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Please, and we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Last month, December 2022, we did not have a quorum to vote on the November meeting minutes. Tom sent both minutes out for everybody to review. So we're going to start first with the November 2022 meeting minutes. If anybody has any comments or changes for the November meeting minutes, let me know. No, they look good. Then I'd like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from Thursday, November 10th, 2022. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, the minutes have been approved for November 2022. We will now move on to the meeting minutes for December 8th, 2022. Let's take a look at those again. This was not a very long meeting, as I recall. Great. Anyone have any questions or edits for that meeting? Great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the December 2022 meeting minutes. Can I get a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Beth. Then great. The December 2022 minutes have been approved. Thank you very much. We are going to shift a few things around in the agenda and move first to public discussion, public to be heard. Do we have names? Yep. Thank you. We have one member of the public to be heard, Vince Malfitano.
Oh, that's nice of you. I thought this would be at the end of the meeting, so it's a good thing I came on time.
Do we want Mr. Malfitano to come into the view of the screen?
Oh, of course. I'm a publicity hound from way back. Right better, good.
Up.
I think Dr. Kwan is now time to find the stage. Your voice is being recorded.
Oh, okay. That's good enough. How about over here? Is this good?
Yep.
Okay. Do you have a timer somewhere, or how do you do this?
We usually stick to what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes?
10 minutes? Oh, that's great. Okay. All right. Well, look, guys, it's nice to be back again. You may remember I was here some time back. I read a little poem from Hans Christian Andersen, The Emperor's New Clothes, where everybody in town was forced to believe something that was a fraud. And still, until some young child said, "But Daddy, he has no clothes on." Well, that's what Drag Queen Story Hour was. It was a fraud perpetrated on the public. A guy shows up in a dress and pretends he's something he's not. But that was something the library seemed to be okay with. But the other day, you guys had something here, what was it, Grace for the Race or something, which included a rather remarkable demonstration by some fanatics from the Nation of Islam. Now, I went to the office and I asked about filing a Freedom of Information request. Haven't done it yet, but I understand, Mr. Giaffino, you're the man to send it to. And there is no form presently on file if the public wants to fill out a request. That's what your secretary told me, but I'll work it out, but don't worry about it.
We actually, Mr. Malpatano, we have had few FOIL requests over the years, but we have a form into our attorney for examination so that in the future, there will be a document.
Right. So what I said was true. There was no form, but you're
Right.
working on one.
Right.
That's good to know. That's good.
But previously, emails have been sufficient.
I'm sure they
according to our
are. And
attorney.
I appreciate that. But look, I'd like to know who sponsored this. I'd like to see the documents of the people who requested this. I'd like to see the organization that was behind this. And I'd like to know who invited the Nation of Islam to come to this stage and goose step and sing the praises of Louis Farrakhan. Rather remarkable, but a little while back, I called and I may have spoken with you on WVOX, Mr. Giafino. I said, you know, if a group from a church or somebody wanted to come and hold something at the library about abortion, you said, oh, that was too controversial. You don't think some guy showing up in a dress and lipstick isn't controversial? Maybe it's because one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. You guys are all behind that crap, aren't you? You're all with that. So that's not controversial. But if you don't think Drag Queen Story Hour isn't a nationwide controversy, I don't mind being lied to. But look, guys, we've got serious problems in this town, and we don't need this library to turn into a woke festival, okay? Treat people equitably. Oh, there's a word, equitably. If somebody wants to come here and hold something about abortion for the community, don't tell me it's too controversial, Mr. Giafino. And then say some guy flaunting around in a dress and a wig and lipstick, that's not controversial. Who vets these things? You? I still like to know who the joker was behind this Drag Queen Story Hour fiasco. I actually came over here. I think you knew I was coming, and I think you were a little surprised that day when I showed up. Just so happened my kid was getting a pair of shoes in town, and I showed up, and because he's a black kid, I don't think you knew that was my son, because you told me that when I tried to walk in the door, you can't come in unless you have a child with you. And the young man was standing right next to me. Oh, what do we call that? Implicit bias? No, I won't do that because I'm not stupid enough to use that kind of phrase with you. You made a mistake. But look, folks, I come here as a taxpayer. I know you guys are volunteers. So am I. I volunteer my time to come here to tell you what I think. And you guys better get with the flow here. This is not your playground for the woke world. This is a place for you to treat the public equally, fairly. I went over to Scarsdale to see that guy, Kirk Cameron, speak.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Malfitano.
Well, you know, I didn't
Thank
see
you.
a clock. It's very disrespectful for you to not have a clock for me to say.
We don't have a.
So if you'd allow me to just finish my thought, I'd appreciate
Please
it.
finish your thought.
Sure. You know, try to have a clock. You might actually get some people to show up. You only have 3 people in the audience tonight. But look, when I saw this, Mr. Cameron, I just want to see what you have to say. They would not sponsor his event. It's not educationally valuable, but they had Drag Queen Story Hour just like you guys. That was valuable. He rented a room. Place was mobbed. I couldn't get in. He rented the room, paid for it for an hour. And then he went to the library staff, I understand, and said, look, do you mind? I'd like to just pay for more time. Nah, that library is not interested in it. Is that who you are? Are you the same kind of people? Even though the room was filled with people wanting some knowledge, and he was willing to pay for the time, the liberal wokesters at the Scarsdale Library said, no, you signed an agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Malfitano.
Yeah.
Thanks for your.
All right, guys, get your acts together, will you? Stop being fools.
We will now move on to our regular business. Thank you very much. With our WLS report.
Yes.
Thanks, Francis.
As you know, the board has been working very hard during the past year, and so we are still taking our rest. So we're going to have our next meeting at the end of this month after a good rest.
Excellent.
And then we will start with the swearing in of 3 trustees who are coming in.
How
to
many-
replace
How many people are on the board total?
15.
15?
So 3 have, that term have expired, so they have been replaced. And they'll be sworn in. I'll give you the details when it's done. We will also be working on, we are now working on the committees, the constitution of the next different committees and their memberships, etc. So consultations are going on. So at our next meeting, that should be formalized. The executive team will continue for it's a 2-year term. And so the President Karen and myself, Vice President, the other 2 people will continue for the next 1 year. So that's about it.
Thank you very much. So at the February meeting, you will have your January meeting updates for us.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. President's report. I don't have very much to report on at the moment. We will have more committee reports tonight than we usually do because this is the season, 'tis the season. So I'm going to skip to Tom and the director's report. We'll fill in later. Thanks.
Thank you, Whitney. I do have a few things to talk about, but I'll try to make it brief. Really good news that our construction grants finally arrived. Those are the grants that will allow us to redo our 3rd floor, as well as at our Huguenot Children's Library, change out our air conditioning units for new ones. So the money has arrived and we're started the process of moving forward with both projects. Of course, the HCL air conditioning project will be pretty quick. The 3rd floor renovation will be more of a concerted effort that will take time and a lot of coordination. But our staff is great. We've been through this before in a lot of other areas. So I'm excited to say that the process has started. In terms of the other grant that we just applied for in August of 2022, one grant was for the main library to receive funds to underwrite the installation of a series of sound absorbing acoustic reduction solutions. And the first pass by the state has been successful. They're fine with it. However, our Huguenot Children's Library, they had a few questions. And so we will be meeting with Terry Kirchner and another person at WLS on Tuesday to go over those issues. So we will deal with that. The other state construction grant that I wanted to talk to you folks about, it was contained in the email that I sent out yesterday, and that is the fire barrier project. As you folks know, the architect, Doug Emilio from APS, had put out a public bid for interested contractors. We had a very limited response. One contractor responded fully and on time. A second contractor responded a little bit late and did not fill out the documentation as requested. They also had not attended the pre-bid meeting as well, which is the opportunity for contractors to sort of walk around the building and look and see what they're going to be taking on if they're interested in the project. So Doug had spoken to us and we encouraged him to work with the second vendor because the idea of having competition and more bids is just the right approach. And Doug did meet with some success. We did get a document back, but not fully, not fully filled out in regards to all the information that was necessary. And the 2 bids were just less than $2,000 apart. And Doug and his team feel that the higher bidder by $2,000, the one that was interested, who attended the pre-bid meeting, who filled out all the documents, submitted them on time, and responded to his last best request, was the vendor that he felt most comfortable recommending that the board award the contract to. And so I shared that document that Doug had sent to me with the board. And it makes sense to me that we go with the contractor that's interested as opposed to the one that seems to be dragging their feet, less interested. So what I'm hoping tonight is for the board to consider approving via resolution the recommendation made by our architect in regards to awarding the contract to Gleason.
Can you just state the names of each contractor and the amounts that they bid, just
Yep.
for public record here?
Yep, the two vendors were Gleason, let's see, Powers, and they bid a project cost of $201,500. And the second bid was Excel Insulation. And Excel Insulation's bid was $199,545, which is a difference of $1,955 in favor of Excel. And of course, Excel was the vendor that seemed to be less interested in the project.
I have some questions. Does anyone else have questions or thoughts on this? What was our budget for this project?
Gee,
That's right. And we voted to approve that extra money because of the differential and pricing that came later from APS, right? Yeah. Yep. And that they believed too, right? That's right. And it was. The audit plan, yes. Yeah, yes. Yep. I remember just wanted everyone's memories to be refreshed about this issue. So the question here now is, do we feel confident in what's his name? Thank you, Doug Emilio's recommendation for Gleason, which is a contractor he feels comfortable with, or do we want Doug to explain to us why he feels Gleason is the best contractor? This is something that's been going on for a while and we would like to take care of it, but we also want to vote with confidence. So does anyone have thoughts on that?
Well, I would assume that did Doug tell you why, Tom, could you explain that to us without having to bring him in?
sure. Doug's response was Gleason was the firm that they had hired initially to explore the building to help really decide what needed to be done. So Gleason was and has been invested in this project since its early stages. And when we had the pre-bid meeting, I was there. The principal from Gleason was there. He was very engaged and very interested and excited. Where again with Excel Lucille, they were not as interested. They certainly have a background but their knowledge of the building is far less strong as opposed to Gleason, who actually explored the building with Doug. And Jean has something to add. Yeah.
Asking whom? Excel.
Right. I mean, to me, it's not a matter of the cost differential, which is pennies. I mean, it's nothing compared to, and it's within our budget. And I guess as long as that budget of $201,500 within our 215. That's what I thought. It was. Is the match. Okay, so we have more because these things all often are higher than we think they're going to be. And so as long as there's room within the budget, the total budget for, you know, stuff they find or things that happen or anything, you know, contingency money. That was my question. Okay, so that's even better. So then we're doubly protected. Okay, so I feel confident. I trust Doug. He's done a lot of great work for us. Obviously, Excel doesn't care as much about this project as much as Gleason does. So I feel confident. I want to make sure everybody else does. Does everyone feel pretty good? Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve his approval of Gleason. So I'm going to make a motion right now to agree with Doug and move forward with Gleason Powers, the contractors who will be performing the fire stopping work for us.
Second.
Great. Lucille, second. Can I, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. So that passes. So we will move forward with Gleason. Thank you. And please thank Doug for his work on that.
Thank you, board. Just again, a few more updates. Our ARPA grant that we had applied, or the foundation had applied on behalf of the library, there had been that first round of rewards. The foundation grant was not part of that decision-making process. They did not receive any money for the bookmobile. We are still waiting to hear for more information that relates to the second round, but to date, there's been no contact from the city regarding this next round. We're hoping that we will hear in the near future. Other good news, if you folks know, arguably our most successful program here at New Rochelle Public Library year in, year out has been the AARP Tax Assistance Program that's staffed by this amazing group of AARP volunteers. And during the pandemic, it still continued to function, only in a very different way. It was more, first year was all remote, second year was reservation-based. We have been talking with the coordinator, Tim, and he tells us that he has a team of volunteers who are willing to come back to the library and be ready to implement the process prior to the pandemic, which is on Tuesdays and Thursdays, sometime a date to be yet established, sometime in later January through the end of tax season. The volunteers will be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 3 o'clock. People will come in, sign up on a first come, first served basis, and they will be indeed served. So we're very excited about that. It's great. So that's news there. Another more information that relates to the ongoing and popular trustee institute, let's see, trustee handbook book discussion is again back in play. I think I emailed you folks earlier in this year. The first meeting will be held on February 21st from 5 to 6:30. It will be Zoom, and the topic will be open meetings law with Kirsten O'Neill. And I believe she's associated with the Committee on Open Government. And there'll be other sessions as well. The board director relationship on the 18th of April, financial planning and budgeting on June 20th, strategic planning on August 15th. It continues equity, diversity, inclusion, access, and justice on October 17th. And finally, financing and managing construction projects on December 19th. All of these are happening between 5 and 6:30. You can register online, and everybody that formally registers will receive a certificate of attendance. And that's relevant because there is a law now in place that requires library trustees starting in 2023. Trustees must be required to complete a minimum of 2 hours of trustee education annually. So if you want to continue to stay as a trustee, you need to go back to school. So that's that. Let's see what else. I think I had told you folks at a previous meeting that our library was part of a competitive grant process with the American Library Association and the Yiddish Book Center. And it was regarding a book discussion group, which we were successful. We were one of 50 libraries in the country that was awarded a grant. And what we'll be doing is beginning a book discussion group. The theme will be Stories of Exile. It will be managed by our former trustee, Ana Just Michael, as a volunteer. It will be, again, a reading and discussion program that will be engaging adults and teens and thinking about experiences of displacement, migration, and diaspora. Hannah will be going to training at the Yiddish Book Center in Amherst, Massachusetts later this month. She will come back and then we'll start talking about how we want to handle it. There'll be 3 books that will be books that were written in Yiddish, I think sometime in the 20th century, the first half. And then the 4th book will be a book that will not be Yiddish in nature, but it'll be a book that'll be selected by us that relates to another community in our that is in our constituency or population in New Rochelle. So we're working on that too as well. So we're really excited about that. Once Hannah returns from her training, we all will be meeting to talk about next steps. We'll be publicizing it. And that's not the only good news about an ALA program that we were successful in applying for. This one we learned about just before the Christmas holiday on the 22nd. We received an email that we were successful in, let's see, the grant is called World on the Move, 250,000 Years of Human Migration, which is a traveling exhibition, which will be taking up the space of our lobby for just 2 months in 2024 in the latter half. And let me tell you a little bit more about it. This exhibit was put together along with the American Library Association with the Smithsonian Center for Folk Life and Cultural Heritage and the American Anthropological Association. It's considered a public education initiative, and the theme of the exhibit is to have a public conversation about an important yet admittedly difficult topic, which is migration and displacement. What their goal is through this exhibition and the learning resources that we tie to it, they're hoping that people will recognize that migration is a shared human experience that connects all people. And it will be divided into 6 components. People have always been on the move. Where do we come from? Why do we move? How does migration change us? Where are we going? And activities. So it's really exciting. It was a very competitive process. They noted in the email award that it was extremely competitive, and they thought New Rochelle was a great location for that. And so we'll have more about that as we go forward.
Is it going anywhere else?
Oh yeah, many other public libraries throughout the country. I believe it first started at the District of Columbia Public Library at the Dr. Martin Luther King branch. That was its first location, and it's moving all over the country.
You don't get it till 2020.
Right, we're waiting for, we're a little lower on, yeah, but it's exciting, that we have something like this. We saw this and we thought it was a great statement and relevant to what goes on.
Absolutely.
Not just here, but everywhere.
Is it voluntary migration in the sense of people moving from one part of the world to another? It sounds really
And also,
or are we talking about forced migration, which comes?
no, it's not. I don't believe it is. It's just dealing with the issue. And I have to say, Toby Sevish was the person that really captained this effort, and she worked with us, but it was through her efforts that we were successful. So, as did Lisa Itzkowitz with our Yiddish Book Center. So our staff is stepping up and writing grants. It's really a universal thing. And it's great. All of us are doing that. Elizabeth also wrote a grant that was successful recently too. So we all realize that if we want to have the kind of library that we think our community wants, we have to look for funds and grants and opportunities outside of our little bubble here.
I hope there's an opportunity for collaborate on this. Scholar Buckle, history chair, and Latin American, of course, yes, seniors would like to really come in, integrated part of the.
That's a great point, Daniel. Actually, as looking at the requirements, what they expect us to do is to not just host this exhibition, but also reach out and connect with the community in terms of having like school groups, having a film, having other elements that sort of illustrate this issue. And it's a few years off, but we're starting to talk
So
about
essentially
it.
migrate the sessions, the way that we're talking about migration.
Yeah. That's a good
Very
one.
good.
I like that.
I'm trying.
Let's see what else. Towards completion. Okay. Just again, our wonderful friends, I just want to remind you that they are in the building. They're not numerous, but they're hardworking. They're managing, what seems like a lot of donations. Maybe everyone has made this, New Year's resolution to clean their homes. And so lots of things are coming in. The friends are handling it. There is a bookstore that's open on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. But what I like about the friends, other than the funds they give us to allow us to program, is that they're very open-minded in terms of their donations and making it available to others. And what we have been doing for the last few years is working with the Westchester Library System for people who are incarcerated in the county jail. And they have been asking us for materials to donate. And the friends have done so. And it was noted, and WLS, after an invitation from Amy and myself, we said, why don't you send people here? And instead of us choosing, why don't you come and you select, because there's just so much. And they actually did on Thursday, and they took a lot of material and still locked downstairs. And you have no fear of that. But I think that's one of the wonderful things about the friends, that we get requests from here in our nation, but also, we had a request from a foundation board member to help a struggling school in Haiti. And the friends found books that were English and French, and they sent them off. So it's really a good thing.
And how are we marketing the work that the friends are doing?
Well, Lisa Itzkowitz has been working with Amy, the friends, and the friends, unlike the foundation, which has a very sophisticated web and social media plan, the friends are a little more basic. So Lisa is working with them. But I would say to all of you here in this room and anywhere where you can hear me, that the friends are always looking for people who are interested in volunteering, who would like to either be a salesperson and help sell books at the Friends Bookstore and lobby, or if they have an interest and love of books and would like to help sort through the donations. So
they both have, their links on the top of our front page of our library too. Our library website. So they're always accessible, but whether the word is getting out,
it's
right?
in those specific things, I think, that can pique the
I don't think there's
interest
like a friend's Instagram that I've seen.
No, but I think, getting it in the newsletter and even, I mean, there's not as much local news anymore, but if there's a way to even get it to journal.
My little pitch for the friends, I will say, is I was just here over the weekend, just getting books with my family. And I think on Sunday, and noticed a stack of Barbara Walters books. Like they were just really on it, on current events. And that's happened more than once where I've heard something in the news and come to the library and seen something like, oh, great. Yeah. So they act quickly in that regard. So
yeah.
We're very lucky, really lucky to have the Friends and the Foundation. I mean, many organizations, libraries in our county elsewhere would be happy to have one that works and contributes and advocates, but we have two organizations. We're really lucky. And speaking of that, great segue to the foundation, where there's a lot going on. As you folks know, there's a January 19th Cocktails and Conversation event that Zoom only, will be remote. Most of their cocktails and conversations have been in person, but I think Dahlia Lithwick, who is the noted legal journalist, is not available on that day to be here. So I guess they decided remote is better than not at all. And Dahlia had come to previous cocktails and conversations prior to the pandemic, and she is fantastic, really articulate, a brilliant woman, and funny too. So she's really good, and I would recommend that cocktails and conversation if you have some time that evening. But yet there's more to talk about. There is essentially what is called a Welcome to New Rochelle event that will be happening on the 25th of January, starting at 6:30. And it's sponsored by the foundation, but it's also collaborating with other significant organizations here in our city, including the New Rochelle Council on the Arts, the New Rochelle BID, the New Rochelle Fund for Educational Excellence. And I can sort of send you, and any board member that might be available that evening that would like to attend, it would be great because it's going to be sort of a dynamic event. And again, the focus is on new arrivals, new residents that are living in the downtown area, because there are so many folks that have arrived to New Rochelle, and we're really working hard towards finding a way to connect with them. I know Lisa has been working on that, and Toby, or just find a way to sort of tap into this great new wave of people. But it's here in this library, and I'll send
It's a
some.
great flyer.
Isn't it a good?
When
Yeah.
I walked into Millennia the other day, I said, "What's this?" And then I read it. I thought it was so great because whoever's dispersing the material did a good job. And then hopefully everyone, people want to.
Until you have, the best way to meet people here is through kids in the district. And if you don't have kids in the district because you're young and you just moved here, you're a young professional or whatever, walking your dog maybe, but this is such a nice way to capture all the people who may not be meeting people through school functions or play dates or what have you. And even if you are.
And, library staff will be here. We'll be here to give tours, to issue library cards for people who don't yet have a library card. There'll be music and entertainment. There'll be some prizes. There will be a raffle prize. Barbara Davis will be here. So if you want to know about the history of New Rochelle, Barbara's the point person who can answer all of that. So it sounds like a good night. It is 6:30. You want a copy of the brochure?
Great.
Flyer?
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you like it to? You do.
In my calendar, I plan to be there.
Great. And last but not least, and then I'll end my report, went on a little longer than I thought. I just want to remind you folks that the foundation, tireless seemingly in regards to working towards improving the library by fundraising events, et cetera. They have a new exciting fundraising event that's scheduled for March 10th of this year, and it's called the Night at the Library. And essentially what we're going, it's called Game On, sorry. Game On, a Night at the Library. And the focus is a miniature golf set that will be set up throughout the library, 18 holes. And Friday night will be the fundraising event, and there'll be all kinds of really fun things there. But the following day, the golf course, so to speak, will remain, and it will be open and available to our New Rochelle families, and they can use it, no fees, nothing charged. So it will be available to everybody, because the foundation was, really aware that not everybody can afford these programs, but to give people the opportunity to participate would be fun. And we have heard from all sorts of sources throughout the tri-state area and, throughout the country, that these events draw lots of people. And, and again, it's a way to bring people into the library to learn, to have fun, playing a little miniature golf, and then maybe learn about some things that we have here that they otherwise wouldn't know. Okay.
What date was that, Tom?
What's that? That is March 10th. Let me share this flyer with you. So personnel report, I can do that quickly. And Elizabeth. We have one new hire that I would ask the board to vote on. This young man is named Rocco Onorino. He is a page. His starting salary is $15 an hour, and his start date was it must have been, I see January 27th, 2023. It's December, isn't it? Yes. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Yep, he did start. I was thinking, wait a minute, he started and it's not the 27th. Okay. I'm on it, right. Could I have a motion to approve his employment?
Yep, that's great. All in favor? Yeah.
I'll make a motion
Dan made it.
to vote for Rocco and Paige
Honorino.
Honorino and hire Paige starting September
7th.
2022.
Excellent. Great, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Good, all right, go.
Yeah, yay. Thank you all.
Good.
He's a good addition. Nice young man.
Yeah.
He is in legally now. Just to give you an update, as you know, we were sad to see Nikki Fudge, our social media coordinator, et cetera, leave, but on to better things. And so we were left with a vacancy. Lisa Itzkowitz has been managing it, but we did advertise and we are in the process of interviewing candidates. We may have found a candidate that we like. I think references are being checked and I will share more with you when I have something more definite to announce. We also have been looking for a part-time library assistance in the children's area. And I'm told there was a really good grouping of folks who applied. Our children's staff interviewed them. They've asked to meet with Elizabeth and myself early next week to go over the candidates. And so hopefully at our next meeting, we'll have something else to share with you. And that's it.
Excellent, great, thank you. Assistant Director's Report. Elizabeth.
So, thank you. I will keep this brief, Tom. So in December, 859 kids and their families attended programs. 700 of those attendees happened in 4 days, which was during the December vacation week. So it was really quite an exciting month for us. I think Tom mentioned the new hires that we might have as part-timers in the department. We can also say that the teen room has been super active. The New Rochelle Public Library teen room is now becoming a destination for teens from all over the county. So we're not just serving teens from local schools, but also teens from other places.
I have a question. Was that number duplicate or unduplicate?
Unduplicate, yeah.
So each kid is counted once through the 4-day or counted once every day?
Once every day. Once every day. Yeah, no, yeah. This is not, it's not inflated by any means. So yes, so our teen room is also a super active place. Before the end of the year, we had a couple of teens come to us that wanted to start a peer tutoring program, and that is going to be starting in mid-January. And we've already got some signups. They're going to be meeting almost every weekday. Tutoring subjects will include math, sciences, English, and then also Spanish. The other big thing that is happening throughout the building is a whole project, a whole weeding maintenance project. And this is really helping us understand some of the holes in our collection, what needs to be replaced, what needs to be added. And all that work has really gotten us to think about a collection development policy, which is really something that I've been working on for the past month. We have now put in the hands of our staff members who are now looking through it and making sure that it really aligns with what they're doing and what their approach is. So that is a huge thing. Last but not least, I want to say that, you know, the proof is in the numbers. And as I look back at the end of 2022, we have really seen a major growth. And I think in so many and almost all across the board, and I really think it really says something about people's respect and admiration for the library. And not just that, but it also talks about our use and our values. So it's a great place to be. And I think with all the programs Tom has talked about, we're going to just see more of that next year into the future. So exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good news. Great. Okay, so that brings us to committee reports. We can start with our budget committee, and I'm happy to report out. We will receive our first batch of materials next week. The budget committee will be meeting for the first time the week following. So that's the week of the 23rd. So by the time February comes around, we will have met at least once, probably with a second meeting scheduled to review, because at our March meeting, we will be presenting, right? We're not going to be presenting any kind of preliminary budgeting for the February meeting. No. And we'll first talk about it publicly in March and again in April, because that's when we have our,
the school district has, I think last year, Jean can confirm, previous years, they had asked us to have a budget in place by March, but last year, I think we turned it in April. Yeah, we'll refresh our memories and let you know.
Before the vote. They want the board to have approved, so that would bring us to March, right? So when is the budget vote?
I'm looking. It's the third Tuesday in May, which is May 16th.
And our April meeting is 30 days in advance of that, I think.
It's the 13th.
Yeah. So April would be within that window if needed. Right? 30 to 45 days,
right.
That's our window. So that's 30 something days.
Perhaps we'll have a better sense as the budget committee starts. It's, maybe we'll have something ready, after the board's consideration and at the March meeting and talk about it in February, yeah. Or, we'll have a better sense as we move forward.
Stay tuned on that. Buildings and grounds, Sarah's not here to report out, but there's nothing to report there at the moment. Community relations.
So the marketing, community outreach team, and then also the BTOP room have been starting the year with a bang. Programs are attended very well. Tom already mentioned the mix and mingle. I think the marketing team has been hard at work on that event, and that's going to be exciting to bring the downtown together. Programs such as yoga and knitting, films, all very well attended, and the team noted that they're seeing a lot of new faces coming in. So there's some regulars in yoga, but there are also some new people coming in. And they are taking a look at
including me, right?
And yeah, yoga, did you do yoga?
Yeah.
No, I want to do it.
You should clap your hands for that.
We can stand up.
We want to.
Yeah. We could, I was going to say, clap while doing the tree pose for
I
you.
could stand up when I went down.
Wait for Francis to do that.
Yeah, we're waiting for some video footage of that.
Sorry about that.
And I was told that the team is taking a look at the website, evaluating and considering some changes. I'm talking with the current team, so they might have some updates for us on that fairly soon. And then the BTOP room, as I've said, every time I get the report, I'm just amazed at all the work that they do. It's such a long list and everything's so important. The services that they offer to support the community that include food support, so the food pantry visits, continuously within the community. We're at Isaac Young at the middle school yesterday. And we'll resume the senior housing visits in February. Then there is support on employment. The job search coach, Rebecca, has been hard at work, government benefits, online learning. The Chromebooks and hotspots are still very popular. That seems to be picking up, so more people are coming, checking those out. And a few specifics of upcoming events or services. The notary nights are every third Thursday of the month. The next one is on the 19th, so next week. From 6 to 7:30. The English Conversation Club, which is a great way for English learners to come and just through conversation continue practicing the English. It's on Tuesdays until February from 6:30 to 7:30. And they seek volunteers. So if anybody wants to come volunteer and be part of this English Conversation Club, please reach out. There are ESL classes facilitated by the Westchester Community College. Those classes begin on January 19th and they run all the way through May 4th. The civic classes are back for the citizenship test. I think they were very successful last time, and that is Saturday afternoons at 1 o'clock. There is the high school equivalency orientation session is every second Saturday of each month, and that begins this Saturday, the 14th, from 10:30 to 12. And that is the amazing list of what that firm is doing. So I've talked a lot, but it's a lot of great things. And you mentioned a lot with the foundation. That was my list. Okay, that's
and just kudos to the team, the community relations team, Denise Link and Lisa Itzkowitz, Toby Sevish, supported by Ed Roddy. So we have a really good group of people who are committed.
Can I ask one quick question? So I was trying to follow. I love all the highlights. The notary services, do they have folks who are helping, supporting that, who can speak Spanish? Because there are often times when there are no Spanish speakers, and a lot of the people who are going to be who possibly may be using those services are only Spanish.
It's a great
speakers.
question.
So something to keep in mind.
I don't have a definitive answer, but I suspect the answer is no.
But maybe there's a crossover between when the translation support and when the notary services.
You know, I can inquire. This is a volunteer person who's coming in at his, he's being generous with his time. But I think maybe another question might be, if in fact we don't have a Spanish speaker currently, perhaps we could find somebody who is a notary public who'd be willing to donate, a few hours a month to do that.
Or
so
we have exactly,
or translator too. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get on that. Thanks. Good point.
Excellent. Thank you. Community Relations Committee Chair, Rhiannon. The Finance Committee, I think, is Corey. Corey's not here. I don't think there's anything to report there. Personnel Committee, Lucille.
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Thank you very much. Policy Committee, Beth.
Hi. So the Policy Committee is bringing forward a staff proposed language with respect to adults in the children's room. And the policy being presented is also post-edit. So this is the language. The children's room, including its technology and restrooms, is intended for children with their caregivers. Adults are allowed in the children's area when they are accompanying a child or actively accessing its collections. The library reserves the right to ask adults to move to other areas of the building if they are not assisting children using materials, or if they are not using materials to assist children in their care. So I think we would like to ask if everyone here is in agreement, or if we can have discussion and vote on this.
Yeah. Anyone have any questions about that policy language? Sure. So Tom can explain what the staff are encountering and to help mitigate some of those issues.
Right. Daniel, Bobby Simic, our head of Children's Services, and Elizabeth came to me and said that they had recently been experiencing situations where adults are choosing to use the children's library, sit at tables, use computers, yet they have no children with them. They just like the space. And when our staff has asked them graciously, could they please consider moving to another area, an adult area, they would say no, they don't want to leave. is there a policy that forces them to leave? And naturally, our goal is to have a children's area that's safe for children. Certainly adults are allowed to use the children's areas, both at Maine, at HCL, in the context of perhaps looking for books for your kids or your grandkids or for somebody else, or if you're a teacher and you need books for a program. But we do not believe that adults who are not attached to children should take up residence in the space. And so that was the reason why when they approached me, I asked them, I said, why don't we write a policy that would address this, because we essentially have the same policy in our teen usage space, because we would sometimes find adults who wanted to be with the teenagers and they were not teenagers any longer.
Well, that's what I was about to say. I think that
Yeah, we have the teen room covered, but the children's room, oftentimes people, when they want to use a space, they're told and they won't often leave. They'll say, oh, I'm sorry. But there is a smaller number of people, yet persistent, who don't want to leave. And this policy will give us the teeth to not throw them out of the library, not ask them to leave, find a space elsewhere. And God knows there's lots of space for adults to use. We're not pushing them away.
May I ask a question? The policy for the teen room, is it printed somewhere? So that
on
would
our
be the
website too, I believe.
Okay.
All of our policies are on our website.
Right.
All of these policies that we bring to vote on and get posted publicly.
But they're also posted.
Are
in
they
the
posted in the
library.
physical space?
Is that-
I mean, the teen area, I'll be honest with you. Is it, Elizabeth?
It is, okay, all right. I'm just thinking, as you're socializing this in the community, you want to ensure that even if it's on the library, people, the library, even if it's in the website, people may not go there to
Right.
know.
Naturally.
But if it's posted, then it also supports the staff to be able to say it's posted here, so.
I think if it's posted, we may want to think about phrasing it in a welcoming way. Like, welcome to the children's space.
Yes.
Here are
Yeah.
these note, and then we can say that, but that, adults are welcome under these circumstances. and-
Right.
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 Well, it is restrictive under those circumstances, but most adults who are, serving a child in some way, whether the kid doesn't have to be with them, as long as they're clearly looking, to take books out for a kid or.
Does a resolution like that support the staff in a way that it gives them more tools to deal with people who are not, even if it's posted and they're pointing it out and they're still not moving, do they have
100%.
options?
When confronted with a board, a policy approved by our board, it's incontrovertible. I mean, you certainly do get some people who will just not listen no matter what, but I think it provides the staff with a powerful tool to tell people, again, not in a unfriendly way, but a firm way, you can't use the space, but there's other areas on the first floor, the second floor, and the third floor that you can find that to use for your purposes.
It's great.
Okay, so can I make a motion to vote on this policy?
Yes.
Yes.
We're gonna have a second?
I will second.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone not in favor? Anyone opposed?
Great.
Great.
So that's our new
That's our new
policy
policy.
and it has passed. Thank you, Beth, for your work. Thank you, policy committee. Yep, and Lucille and Beth and Sarah. I don't think Sarah had a chance
Sarah.
to weigh in, right? She's away. But thank you for your work on that. That's great. That's helpful to the staff. I don't think we have any policies other than that at the moment, but we probably will soon. Special project. Oh,
Right, just reminding what Elizabeth had mentioned earlier, that the collection development policy, which has been in a state of evolution, will be coming to the board at some point in the not too distant future. And also the room reservation policy, we're looking at in the aftermath of that. So we had a very successful meeting earlier this week with staff. I'm going to be speaking with the director of the Scarsdale Library, Beth Burnell, because of course she was dealing with this issue. And our attorney is alerted to as well. So we'll be coming to you with this policy, and that may actually be, we're still trying to find the way to do something that's fair and appropriate.
And I think a third policy is the naming policy,
Right.
right? So that's, I think, still in development, but we can, I think that's something that I'm actually supposed to propose to the policy committee. And it's meant for our spaces and when people make donations and how does that work? I think we're leaving it pretty open and customizable, but it'll give us a template from which to start when we are confronted and gratefully so with donors wishing to make a contribution in exchange for recognition within the library spaces.
No, what's not quite clear to me is what do you do with adults who act like kids, no pun intended, but the people who don't want to leave?
He wants to know what
happened
happened.
to leave, you apply for.
How do you deal with
how do you deal with it? Because that's the real meat.
We actually
of the
have,
policy.
we actually had this incident earlier this week. Gina's laughing because she was a witness to this moment. Yeah, that's right. I had to go off because we had a patron who periodically in the last few weeks, he's decided to use the library, which is fine. And he takes great umbrage when the library is closing, you know, the hours that we have, and he gets extremely abusive. I can't say violent yet, but his behavior is extremely inappropriate. And we are banning that gentleman. But oftentimes people are just sort of involved in their activity and they're just not aware. And when you tell them, they understand. And, you know, we tell them we're open hopefully tomorrow, but it's not typically a problem, but it does happen.
So does that answer your question? He wants to know, what do you do if someone will?
We call the police.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's a rare.
Right. I mean, we don't want to use the police. We actually have a great team of security guards who are really on top of it and know how to deal with people. But at some particular point in time, when despite all of their persuasive arguments, they just refuse to leave, like this young man did earlier this week, then we involved the police. And I have to say, the police have been amazing. Yeah. You know, when we dealt with this fellow, there was a few of them that showed up. Yeah. They escorted him out, and he walked out. He was yelling, etc. And they said, when he comes back, it's tomorrow, whenever, don't engage with him. Call us. We'll deal with it. And this person's obviously struggling with some issues, and it's really sad. But you know, we also have to maintain the decorum of the library and allow people to feel safe and comfortable. Yeah.
Now, I've written this a number of times. I've seen that. I think your guys are quite efficient and gentle, but it can be fun too. I've seen that a number of times.
No, I think we're really lucky. We have, it's taken a while. I've been here for a while, but we have a really good group of guards who just make life a lot easier than, you know, the way it should be, but you know, not always the case. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Special projects committee.
We have nothing at the moment, but committee is aware of there's sort of feelers out there that have a meeting somewhere towards the end of January or February, talk about the plan, where we're going, etc.
Excellent. Good. More on that to come. Stay tuned. That brings us, we moved our public discussion earlier, as we often sometimes do, depending on what kind of night it is. With that, anyone have any other things to say? Then
this kind of interesting incident we had at the beginning of the meeting, how do you deal with that? We had an interesting.
People have a right, right? People have a right to come and speak. Yeah, and we have, as a board, right, we don't actually have to allow people the opportunity to speak. It's not mandated, right? It's a courtesy, so we also don't have to respond. Yeah. We're not obligated to either allow speakers or respond. And anyway, we do it as a courtesy to allow for public engagement. And that's what we did. And that's what we did.
I agree, but I just don't like being dressed down and being talked to silly because I'm volunteered by somebody who's, you know, that aspect of it, I think, like you can express your view. Problem with that. As strongly as you want, but you don't sort of this.
It's
you know what I
unpleasant.
mean. Yeah.
It's unpleasant.
I must say I applaud your patience, but I probably wouldn't second that. I don't- you know what I mean?
I do.
I just didn't like the manner. in which it
You
was
need a little more yoga.
Some meditation.
Sorry.
Little meditation, right?
Right,
okay.
we recognize it, that's
Sorry, right,
it's not
right,
really,
yeah.
it's not really about us, Francis,
But
right?
that's off the record.
And that it comes
Yes.
from the person, it's
Yeah. okay.
nothing to do with us, for the most part, right? Any other comments? Good, with that, I make a motion to adjourn, can I get a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, somebody still has to.
Oh, pass them on
Sign this.
down.
Ah.
So-
No, you want us